Well, let's just say this month didn't quite go according to plan. Hi friends, and welcome back to Brianna's Bookshelf, where I update you monthly on what books I have finished the previous month. Why am I doing Brianna's Bookshelf books? Well, I have a personal goal in 2022 to become a reader. That is literally the verbiage I used. Not read X amount of books, but become a reader, because it is something that I've been working towards, kind of, sort of, but not truly genuinely committed to. And this year felt right. It's the year that I have like a to be read list that's like 1.5 miles long, fiction, nonfiction. I'm pumped about it, and I want to apply myself and follow through and actually become a reader this year. So Brianna's Bookshelf was born. I will go ahead and link down below last month's Brianna's Bookshelf. It was the first one, and I got through, I think, 4 books and an audiobook last month, so it was a stellar start to the year. And now I have to confess how I did in February, which was not great. I only completed 2, count them, 1, 2 books in the month of February. Now I know it's the shortest month of the year, but that shouldn't really matter. So I have some making up to do in March. Now, that's not to say that I failed in any way. Like, I still have 2 books here that I finished, and I made a goal of reading at least 30 books this year. So if we add the 2 to the 4, we were at 6. So I'm 20% of the way done already, which is not so bad. So I'm actually ahead of schedule, but I do want to apply myself more in March, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about the 2 books that I have read in the month of February. First, we will start with the singular fiction book that I read. I read 1 fiction, 1 nonfiction, and this was the fiction book, People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This is a book that I got from Book of the Month, of which I am a member, and this book came super highly rated. I saw people on Instagram talking about it. I felt like everybody was reading this book. So I bought it as an add-on 1 month. It wasn't one that was actually available to me to purchase, but it was like an add-on. It wasn't one of like the 5 books because it was released earlier in the year, I guess. I don't know. But I bought it because FOMO. And I was like, well, if there's this fiction book that everybody seems to be giving 5 stars, maybe I'll read it, because it's hard for me to get into fiction. Now, something I'm learning about myself, and I kind of already knew this, but this kind of reiterated it for me. My desired genre of fiction is romance. It is. It just is. I love the emotions behind a good romantic pursuit and all of those things. And like, they can be cute, they can be spicy. I don't mind a little bit of spicy in my romance books, y'all. And it's just my preference. Or books that are like Harry Potter. Here, I have not found a book series that I have loved as much as Harry Potter. I enjoyed the Twilight series, I enjoyed the Hunger Games series, and I enjoyed the Divergent, is that what it's called? Divergent series. I enjoyed all of those very, very much. Probably in that order. Twilight, Hunger Games, Divergent. But Harry Potter has been so high up there that nothing has ever come close to what Harry Potter is for me. But romance books, as long as it's a cute story, I am all for the romance book. So, People We Meet on Vacation did not disappoint. It was really, really cute. I don't want to give too much away, but the way it was formatted is in a present tense story and a past tense story, and both, you're getting told both at the same time, which is super interesting. It was such an intriguing approach, because you are told something in the beginning of the book that once you figure out how the book is moving, you're like, I'm not going to find out what actually happened until later in the book. And so it keeps you reading because you're dying to see how everything plays out in the book. And it was just really, really well done. I now want to go back and read Emily Henry's other stuff, because I had a great time reading this book. And this was one of those books that, like, it was pretty long, and it took me a while to get into it. I ended up finishing this book in fewer long reading sessions. So instead of like reading a half hour here, half hour there, my ultimate goal is to sit down and read a book half an hour every day. But usually that is in the form of a nonfiction book, and my fiction books kind of get set to the back burner. This book is one that I would pick up in the mornings on the weekends. So Saturday and Sunday, I would sit down and I'd read for an hour or 90 minutes, or in the evening if my husband was working, or during the Olympics. I actually read a lot of this book because he was watching things that I didn't really care that much about. So I was in the room with him and present, but I was underneath my electric blanket reading this fiction book for like an hour or 90 minutes at a time, because once I started, it took me some discipline to get started, but once I started, I didn't want to stop. So 5 stars, would recommend, really fun read. And then my nonfiction book is actually a reread. This is like my 3rd time through this book, and I love it each and every time, and it is one that I will recommend to every single one of you, and that is The 4 Tendencies by Gretchen Rubin. I picked this up because of my desire to be a better coach. That's literally the reason I decided to purchase it this time and pick it up and reread it again, because I am starting to realize just how real the 4 tendencies are. And like, I've known this for a long time. I'm an obliger. My husband's a questioner. I have exposure to all different sorts of tendencies. I mean, all 4 of the tendencies, but the one I'm least experienced with is rebels. And I have a couple of rebels on my coaching roster, and the approach that you have to take with rebels are very, very different from the approach that you would take with someone like me, an obliger. And so I wanted to reread all of the information on dealing with rebels and what it's like to be a rebel and what works for rebels and what don't, because I want to be a better coach. So something that I think I'm gonna start doing is having all of my coaching clients take the 4 tendencies quiz. It is a short quiz, super easy, and there's 1 of 4 outcomes. I challenge you, take this action right now. Go ahead and either pause this video or finish the video and then do this. But in the link below, I will put the 4 tendencies quiz. Go take that quiz and then tell me in the comment section of this video which of the 4 tendencies you are. I would love to know. I am obsessed with the 4 tendencies. I have found this to be wildly accurate, wildly accurate. So pro tip, when you're taking the quiz, make sure you answer honestly. Make sure you answer as you are, as the person you are right now, not as the ideal version of yourself that you wish you were. I made that mistake the first time and I got upholder, and then I lived under the guise that I was an upholder. I can do anything, blah, 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 and was getting frustrated when I couldn't seem to uphold what I'm supposed to be upholding. And so finally, it took me like 1.5 years, 2 years, and then I retook the quiz and I answered very, very honestly, and I got obliger, and it changed my life. Because while I don't like being an obliger, I'm an obliger through and through, by the book, and I now use things to help me, like hiring my own coach and different accountability groups and things to help me get things done because I know I'm an obliger. This book will tell you which tendency you are. Are you an obliger, a questioner, upholder, or rebel? And those tendencies meet expectations in different ways. And this book goes into all of the details, and there is no personality test I like more than the 4 tendencies. I think it's very, very helpful. I think bosses should have their workers take this. I, as a coach, want all of my clients to take this. I think it is a great, very valuable resource. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And that's it. Those are my 2 books for the month of February. Now I have lofty goals for the month of March that tie into my spending less time on the phone and spending more time disciplined and sticking to a schedule and working on follow through. All of these things will hopefully result in me reading more for the month of March. My goal is to read through 3 books. I do have an audiobook that I will probably finish as well. I am in the middle of it right now, and it ties into what I mentioned earlier, the Twilight series. I went ahead and got The Midnight Sun, which is the newest edition of the Twilight series. It is the first book of the Twilight series from Edward's perspective instead of Bella's perspective. And I'm 4 hours in, 5 hours in, and I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I am back in college, reliving the joy of reading those Twilight books for the first time. I loved them. I didn't think I would, and I just was obsessed with them. So I'm enjoying listening to the audiobook for that. It is a 24-hour or 26-hour audiobook. It is a long one. So I've been putting it on as I've been meal prepping in the kitchen, cleaning the house, and doing chores and things like that. And it has been a great way to pass the time, but I can't count it this month because I'm only like not even a third of the way into it. So hopefully next month I will have that audiobook done and 3 regular books completed for you. That is the goal. I am stating it here to help keep me accountable. Stay tuned next month. Make sure you hit subscribe and hit that bell so you get notified every time I upload something new, because next month you will get to see whether or not I reached my goal for the month. In the comments below, let me know what you have been reading lately, and do you recommend it to me as something that I should add to my really long but still taking new requests to be read list. Go ahead and comment below with what you're reading right now. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you were interested in joining the Diva and the Divine community, we would love to have you. You know where that little red button is. Just go ahead and click it, and you will be a member of our team. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch. Take care, happy reading, and I'll see you next month. Bye!